Hello, dear friends. It's xoxo, and I am just working again on this little piece that I did for my Motherwound workshop. I know some of you got a chance to look at that. There's a little bit here, this ruffle is fraying, that I just am very slowly going around and folding down those edges, but I am tired of doing that, so I have decided that I'm going to turn, I've got this pillow that was from an old couch pillow, and I'm going to turn this into a pillowcase so that I can have it nearby in a nice way. And I got some of this scrap fabric that I got from that store that I always mention, Swanson's Fabrics, and I think it's going to be just exactly big enough. It'll be snug, but I think that's okay. And I haven't decided if I'm gonna do like a zipper or just go ahead and sew it shut and not worry about ever taking it off. I think that this material that is from, just going to trim this, my grandma's aprons would fall apart in the wash anyways. I don't think it's going to be something that I'm going to wash, so I might just sew it shut around the pillow and just not worry about it. I think that's probably what I'll do. So let me just get that cut and we can start sewing. How have you all been? I have been, I will say, having a touch of a challenging week. I have this old sort of stress about my ex and those interactions who I co-parent with. And that has been, I think, probably the word is disappointing, because I have done so much, I have worked so hard to try to release the desire for a certain outcome in that relationship, because I'm aware that that's one of the, main parts of my life right now where I have, wanting a certain outcome. And I've tried so hard. Let's see, I want you all to be able to see this, and I know that's often a problem when I do these. So, yeah, so I've just really been wanting to, let's see, here, wait, am I doing this wrong? Hold on, let me focus on this first. What would be the right way to do this? Yeah, that will work. Like this. There you go. This spatial stuff is a little difficult for me, and that can make sewing something that actually has a construction a little difficult. So this will be like this, and then that'll fold like that. Yep. So yeah, I've spent, a decade. My kid is about to turn 12, and we started in counseling when he was 2. Let's see. So it has been a solid decade, and I have been trying to figure this stuff out. Maybe I should pin this down. such a, like, wing it. I just learned about this thing that you, I forget what it's called, but you take a test and it tells you, like, what kind of a person you are. And some people are quick starts, which means they just hop in and start something without a lot of planning or research, and that is definitely me. I just go for it and then figure it out or make a lot of mistakes as I go. And some people are researchers and they just have to research before they do something. And there's another, I feel like it's called the Copley something. Another thing is they have to make something with their hands, something physical. I forgot what the fourth one is. Anyways, so yeah, I've just been, realizing that I need another round of thinking on this need to control other people, and feels like a little bit of a bummer, like a backtrack or something, but I also have been thinking maybe it's not a backtrack, maybe it's like a, like maybe you learn something once and then you only can understand it to a certain extent, and then you come back the next time and you like can understand it at a different level because you have more information than the first time, or maybe you like have grown since then. So I'm just trying to think of it like that. But it's still a little painful because I, want to be enlightened and not have to do this human stress so much anymore. But then I try to remember that seems to be the deal. So what have you all been up to? Summer stuff? We had so much rain last month, and then, is this right? I was trying to figure out if I'm in the screen or not, because there is always someone who comes to tell me, you're not even in the screen. I found this thing, it's like a community media place in our town, and you can become a member, which is not very expensive. It's just like, I think it's like $50 a year or something, and you can use media equipment, and my impression of it is that you could like film a video there and use like their cameras and their microphones and stuff. And I would like to do that because I'm trying to put together this program class thing. And I have called them and emailed them and filled out their questionnaire online, and I have not heard anything back. So either they are very busy, or maybe they don't have somebody who responds to those kind of things. So I was thinking I would just drive over there, but they're not open till 10, and that's when I've been working. So I gotta figure that out at some point in the next week or so. But that would be helpful, right? Maybe I could even take a class about filming or making videos so that I could be a little bit more skilled in this area. But yeah, it's like, how do you deal with this idea that other people should do certain things or act right or be accountable, or it's like, how do you have expectations of being treated well if you're in a relationship that you can't really get out of, the co-parenting thing. I don't know. But mostly I know that it's, my kids so wisely today repeated back to me something I've said over the years, like, when you are thinking bad about someone else or judging them, it's like drinking poison and thinking that they're gonna suffer, when the truth is, they usually don't even realize it or care. Oy, oy, oy. So I would like to get a grip on that and figure out how to let, what did they say in AA? Something like, or Al-Anon. I don't know if they say it in AA, but I went to Al-Anon. Something like, stay on your side of the street. And the good old, there's my business, God's business, and everybody else's business. And the only business that I have any business with is mine. But it is so easy to get caught up in other people's business. I guess because then we don't have to look at our own. So what's my own in this situation? I mean, interestingly, this has been like the nicest part of my life so far. Everything's going really well in so many areas. Did I tell you that I gave my notice at my school that I work at the other day? That's like huge. I have been wanting to get out of speech pathology since I was in school for speech pathology. You know, the only reason I did it was because I was, well, first round was because my parents actually applied to graduate school for me. I was going through a really bad time, and I was on a bunch of medication, and I didn't really know what was going on. And I had been a linguistics undergrad, and I had thought about speech pathology when I was younger. So when they found out that the school that my sister was going to had a master's in speech pathology program, I guess they just like ordered my transcripts and got me. I mean, I don't have memories for this time, so maybe they just told me to apply, or I honestly, I don't know. Maybe I did it myself and I just can't remember. Maybe I thought it was a great idea. So I went to that school, and then I very quickly, I got off the medication because I realized I couldn't think straight and wasn't going to be able to do a master's level classes. And then very quickly was like, I don't want to do speech pathology. So I quit. And then when after I got married, I was struggling so much financially. We were having such a hard time, and neither of us could find jobs. And I was working at a school as a teacher's assistant in special education, and the principal said to me, or assistant principal said, you have half a master's in speech pathology. Why don't you go finish that and you can do this work and get paid, you know, significantly more than you're making as a teacher's assistant and have more impact. And I was like, okay, but as soon as I got into that program, I knew also, like, this is not my thing. And I was so sick. It was one of those things where, you know, your body knows that it's not right for you. And oh my gosh, I thought I was dying that whole time through that program. I was always sick, and headaches and migraines, and couldn't eat and couldn't digest anything. It was like total nervous system problems. And I had this, like, what I thought was a stroke at one point, and I like couldn't talk. My whole right side went numb. I went to the emergency room. They gave me this shot in my booty. It was so dramatic. But yeah, I think I should leave. This is the one that has some space, so I'm going to leave that and decide what I'm going to do with closing that. But I went to all these naturopathic doctors and had every MRI trying to figure out what was wrong with me, and they all were like, we think you're stressed. And I thought that meant that they were blowing me off. But the thing was, I was actually stressed, and I was sick because of the stress, because my soul knew I wasn't doing the right thing. But then I went to an astrologer, and the astrologer said, which they didn't know anything about me, I don't blame them at all, but they were like, you really should finish this because It's just a good idea to finish something. And I get where they were coming from. I didn't quite make that edge right, but are we going to care? I don't think we need to. I don't think I've done this really in a way that makes sense, but that is alright. I don't really do anything in a way that makes sense. Let's see. Maybe we can do like... Maybe we can do like... I wanted it to sort of not show. I think maybe I have to do it inside out, right? That's right. That's how you do it. You do it inside out. We'll get it. We'll get it. It's going to be a little funky, but that's all right. So yeah, I went to every doctor. I went to this naturopathic person who was like, it's yeast and you need to stop eating sugar and olives, vinegar. You're not digesting your food. And it's like, probably I needed someone to say, you're not digesting your food because you're so dang stressed that you're in fight or flight, and there's no digestion that happens when you're in a defense state. But maybe they didn't know that. All this stuff is kind of recent with this nervous system stuff. So anywho, I knew that whole time that that was not the right thing for me, but we were desperate, and you know, people said that was, well, that one principal, where'd my needle go? Here we go. That principal had said, you know, that was a good plan. And also, when we looked it up, it said, like, the 4 easiest jobs, I remember this so clearly, the 4 easiest jobs to get in the U.S., and it was, is that going to work? How are the corners going to work? I don't know. Maybe I just go like that. Is that going to... I'll just do it. I'll leave the corners for now. So, 4 easiest jobs. One was like accountant. I feel like one was like a doctor, and one was like a, not easiest jobs to get, but the 4 jobs that are the most jobs available, or like the most jobs, most jobs available. And none of them was I qualified for, but one of them was speech pathology. So I was like, okay, this makes sense. Which, on one hand, you know, is great, because as a, you know, after the divorce, when I had no money, I would have had a lot more of a struggle if I had not had my speech pathology degree, because I instantly could get a job, you know, and I was able to work really hard and, you know, get myself out of debt and back on track. And that was absolutely made a heck of a lot easier because I had that degree in speech pathology. So on one hand, I am incredibly grateful that I did that, and that my mom encouraged me to do that, because it was really helpful. But on the other hand, I am aware that, you know, it was, as Martha Beck calls it, you have an essential self and you have a social self. And from a social self perspective, that was an excellent choice. But from an essential self perspective, I knew the whole time that it wasn't a good fit. Why was I talking about that? I have no idea. Anyway, because I said I let go of my school job, and you want to know how amazing they were? I've worked there since I was pregnant, so 12 years almost, and it's like a contract job for schools in California and Kansas. Well, all over the country, but I worked in California and Kansas. And they were so nice. I said, I'm starting this private practice and it's going pretty well, and I think I'm going to be okay to just do that. And so I'll know, as things go, but I don't think I'm going to be available at least for the fall, and can we stay in touch? And they said, you can just take a leave for 3 months so that you have time to figure it out and you don't have to officially resign, which I thought was incredibly generous of them. And then they said, it was so sweet, they said, and then we would love to have you back in any and all capacity, with an expedited onboarding if you decide to come back. Isn't that nice? I felt really flattered that after, over a decade of working there, I had, such kindness from them. Now, I hope this is not going all the way through. I don't really want that. I don't think it is. So yeah, this is a big moment for me. I've been wanting to not be in it since I started going to school to be in it. So the whole dang time, which the first program was in 2004. So that's 20 years of feeling like this wasn't the right path for me. So I am really delighted to be at this moment. And at the same time, maybe I'm having some is things supposed to be this good? That oh no, this doesn't feel familiar feeling when things are going so well. Maybe that's why I've been sort of refocusing on being upset about the co-parenting stuff. That would kind of make sense, wouldn't it? I do have therapy tomorrow, so we can talk about it. Last week we talked all about acceptance, and how until I can accept that everybody's going to do whatever they want to do no matter what I think about it, it's going to be stressful until I can accept that. And it just is so true, isn't it? The world just keeps not listening to us, even though we think we know exactly what these silly people should do. Which is sort of funny because I don't even know what I should do, right? All right, my dear ones. I think I am going to pause on this. And did I do? No, I didn't do this side yet, so I'll have that side. That's going to be cute, though, right? To have it as a pillow and have my my grandma and my great-grandma with me. And I have my great-grandma's quilt. No, great-great-grandma. Because it's the one who made the apron, Verna's stepmom, Birdie, who made the quilt. So on the couch I'll have the quilt from my great-great-grandma. Aunt Birdie is what they called her. That's what they called her. Because she wasn't, she was the stepmom. Aunt Birdie's quilt, who's the great-great-grandmother. My great-grandmother Verna's pieces of her. This is the pieces of her apron. And my grandma Meyer, made this little baby quilt. And then I added these little hearts for my mother wound processing. Now, I think I might have made this, actually, now that I'm looking at it. I think I made it way too far in. So that's going to be a little silly. I may have to redo this whole thing. But you know how those monks make those mandalas out of sand, those beautiful, beautiful things, and then they just blow them? So maybe it's like a sewing mandala. You just do it and then you rip it out. Maybe that's okay. Let's reverse it and see if I did this in a way that we could keep. I think having it be a little mishmash is also positive because it helps to remind me that it's okay to be a little mishmash myself. Let's see. Now this side's pinned, but that's alright. Maybe it's okay. Out what to do with the... Yeah, I mean, that's okay. It's far from the dill, but as long as the pillow fits in, that doesn't matter. If the pillow's a little squished, that's okay too. And then also that part, and then also that part. All right, I think I figured it out. Good enough, as they say, right? The only loss on these slow stitching things, if you do something like I'm doing, which make it into a pillowcase, is you lose all these awesome back stitches, which I think is my favorite part of slow stitching. The mess. All right, my dears, leaving you with the mess and a little reminder that you are very lovable in the mess and you don't have to fix it. All right, lots of love.